Let's talk about the infantilization of adults. Yeah, that thing where you're technically a grown-up, credit score, back pain, maybe even a mortgage, but somehow, society still hands you life like you're ordering from a kid's menu. Here's your pre-cut chicken nuggets and a crayon. Don't choke. This is the era where 30 is the new 13. And 40? That's when you start experimenting with independence, like getting your own Hulu password instead of using your ex's. We are living in the age of adult pacification. Everything's been sanded down, rounded off, and rubber cornered to protect you from sharp thoughts, hard truths, and the terrifying prospect of personal responsibility. It's a cultural padded room, and the walls are painted pastel. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Come on, Sev, be nice. People have anxiety, people have trauma, people are overwhelmed. Yes, they do. They are, and they should absolutely get help. But this isn't about the people dealing with real issues. This is about how the entire system is conditioning you to regress, like Benjamin Button in sweatpants. Let's start with the obvious. Language. The way we talk about adulthood today sounds like we're all interns at a summer camp run by Instagram therapists. You're not lazy, you're low capacity. You didn't lie, you misspoke under stress. You don't avoid responsibility. You self-soothe through temporary disengagement. Corporate memos read like bedtime stories. Hey team, we're sunsetting your job, but don't worry. We've got a growth journey for you. Yeah, it's called unemployment, and it comes with a side of tears and 2-day-old pizza. Language shapes perception. Infantilized language shapes infantilized people. And once you start labeling normal adult challenges as unbearable emotional trauma, it doesn't take long before basic functioning becomes a heroic act. Oh my God, you showed up to work today? You're so resilient. Buddy, that's not resilience, that's called Monday. Let's talk about safe spaces. Remember when that meant like a panic room or a bomb shelter? Now a safe space is a white noise machine, filtered water, and a laminated sign that says, "You are valid." It's got a beanbag chair and a vegan stress ball, and probably some man in his mid-30s using his library voice to say, "I'm just going to sit with my feelings for a moment." Look, it's good to talk about mental health. It's good to normalize struggle. But it's also okay to say that not every difficult feeling needs to be quarantined in a cuddly womb-like environment designed by Etsy witches. Because guess what happens when the whole world bends over backward to make sure you never feel discomfort? You lose the ability to handle any of it. We're raising generations of people who can't even send an email without first emotionally regulating with a matcha latte and an affirmation playlist. Let's talk about work. Used to be, if you had a job, you showed up, did it, bitched a little, and cashed your check. Now it's a mutual alignment of personal values and career vibration. Translation? You want to work somewhere that coddles your soul while paying you to send Slack emojis and have one Zoom call a day, max. It's not work anymore. It's emotional labor. Getting feedback is a psychological hazard. And deadlines? Deadlines are harmful temporal constructs. Listen, work isn't supposed to feel like a meditation retreat. It's work. You're exchanging time and effort for money. It's not a personality test. But somehow, we've convinced a whole generation that unless your job also fulfills your inner child, it's violence. And while we're at it, can we talk about the rise of therapy speak in breakups? My ex didn't ghost me. They exited the connection to preserve their nervous system. No, Brittany. He just didn't like you that much. Not every heartbreak is a trauma narrative. Sometimes it's just life. You win some, you lose some, and occasionally you cry into your sleeve at a Chili's. The problem is, we've replaced maturity with jargon. We don't say, "I messed up." We say, "I was in a dysregulated state." We don't say, "I made a selfish decision." We say, "I was protecting my inner child." Eventually, no one is accountable. Everyone's a victim of their own brain chemistry, which is incredibly convenient for corporations and governments, by the way. Yeah, you didn't think I was going to leave them out, did you? Let's be real. The infantilization of adults isn't just a side effect of TikTok therapists and soy-scented micro-celebrities. It's also a strategic decision by the people who sell you stuff and control your lives. You infantilize a population, and you get three major perks. Consumers who are easier to manipulate. Childlike people are impulsive, they're reactive, they want dopamine, not depth. So you can feed them endless apps, endless snacks, endless outrage, and they'll eat it up like it's snack time at daycare. Citizens who are easier to control. Childlike people crave safety, so you promise it. You tell them, don't worry, we'll handle the big scary stuff. You just stay home, stream your shows, and remember to recycle. Bread and circuses, meet DoorDash and Disney Plus. Workers who are easier to exploit. Childlike people want approval, so you brand your company with pastel fonts and mental health buzzwords, slap a nap pod in the break room and underpay everyone while they thank you for honoring their wellness. We're not just being babied, we're being de-skilled, emotionally, mentally, even physically. Remember when people used to fix their own stuff, patch their own jeans, build their own shelves? Now it's like, hey, I just banged my elbow on the doorknob and I think I need to process it with my somatic coach. You got degrees, but no grit, got Wi-Fi, but no wit. You're grown on the outside, but inside you quit. Let's talk about how we got here. This isn't just some random cultural phase. This is what happens when comfort becomes king. When every inconvenience is seen as injustice, and every challenge gets rebranded as trauma. You see, somewhere along the line, we started equating difficulty with danger. Struggle became taboo, stress became abuse. And suddenly, everything had to be shrink-wrapped in therapeutic lingo and Disney-fied aesthetics just to make it palatable. Adults aren't supposed to need to be told you're doing your best after they screw up an Amazon return. But that's where we are. Because if you can convince the population that life is too hard, that the world is too mean, and that they're too fragile to cope, you can sell them everything from emotional support water bottles to $400 healing crystals to 30-second guided meditations narrated by a man who sounds like he's about to cry. Meanwhile, the people at the top, they're not playing by these rules. You think the boardrooms are handing out fidget spinners and coloring books? No. They're playing hardball while you're playing with slime. Let's talk about dating. Or should I say, inner child bonding rituals with adult supervision. It used to be that two people met, figured out if they could tolerate each other's weird habits, and built a life. Now it's trauma resumes, astrology charts, and vibe checks. We've turned romance into an HR process for emotional liabilities. You don't get ghosted, you get energetically misaligned. You're not incompatible, you're on divergent healing timelines. Some people aren't looking for a partner, they're looking for a co-parent to their emotional 6-year-old. And don't even get me started on dating apps. Swipe left, swipe right, dopamine hit. It's not dating, it's slot machine intimacy. People are more afraid of having an awkward conversation than they are of spending their entire life alone. We're so conflict avoidant. We ghost like we're being hunted. You want grown-up relationships? Here's a secret. They require grown-ups. Now, I'm not saying you need to be stoic, emotionless, and stone cold like you're starring in a WW2 movie. I'm saying adulthood is not the enemy. Responsibility isn't oppression. Boundaries aren't violence. And discomfort isn't trauma. We've got people in their 30s asking their parents to help negotiate rent. We've got 40-somethings posting TikToks of themselves crying in their car over minor inconveniences like Chipotle running out of guac. We've got influencers, fully grown, allegedly, telling millions of people that if you're overwhelmed, just stay in bed and disassociate responsibly. Responsibly? What the hell does that even mean? You can't self-care your way out of adulthood. Eventually, the bill comes due. And no, your insurance doesn't cover learned helplessness. Let's talk about the real consequence here. The death of competence. You remember competence? That quiet, boring quality that used to be sexy before we decided crying on camera was a personality? Yeah, competence. It's gone. We've got a whole ecosystem of people who can't change a tire, can't follow a recipe, can't hold a conversation without referencing a podcast, and can't form a thought without first asking ChatGPT to paraphrase it with emojis. You've got men who brag about being in touch with their feelings, but can't look a barista in the eye. You've got women who talk about main character energy while living on their parents' Netflix account. Being capable used to be cool. Now it's toxic. And you know what really seals the deal? We celebrate regression. You're 38 and you bought a Lego set. You're not immature, you're reclaiming joy. You're 44 and addicted to Hello Kitty. You're not escaping reality, you're nurturing your inner child. You eat cereal for dinner and call it cozy girl aesthetic. No. You're just a grown-ass adult with the diet of a toddler and the coping skills of a guinea pig on Xanax. Look, nostalgia is fine, but we've taken it too far. We're chasing childhood like it's a fix, while the roof leaks and the car needs new kicks. Meanwhile, the world burns. Literally. The climate, the politics, the economy, whatever corner of the simulation you look at, it's falling apart. And what's our collective response? A weighted blanket, a lavender candle, and an adult coloring book. Let's talk about education. University used to be where you went to expand your mind. Now it's where you go to be emotionally babied by administrators with DEI titles longer than a CVS receipt. Professors used to challenge your worldview. Now they're terrified of saying the wrong thing because one emotionally overcooked 19-year-old might file a grievance because their childhood dog was named capitalism, and now they feel triggered. Instead of being trained for the real world, we've got students being trained to melt at the first sign of friction. And then they graduate into an economy that does not care about your vibes. Try asking your landlord to accept emotional growth as partial payment. See how far that gets you. You want to be praised just for trying, but life's handing L's without even replying. This isn't about being cruel. It's about being real. You want to live in a society full of overgrown children? Go for it. But don't be surprised when the grown-ups who kept the lights on, paid the bills, and fought the hard fights start dying off, and you're left in charge. With your TikTok wisdom and your 5-year plan to open a safe space cafe for neurodivergent plants. Adulthood is hard, but you know what? So is life. And the more we pretend that grown-up problems can be solved with preschool solutions, the worse it gets. Look, some of you are hearing this and getting pissed. Good. That means you're still alive. Anger's a grown-up emotion, by the way. It means you care. But here's the thing. If you want dignity, you've got to act like someone who deserves it. If you want to be taken seriously, you have to do serious things. That means taking responsibility for your emotions, your choices, your actions. Not blaming your parents, your boss, your zodiac sign, your Wi-Fi, or your Saturn return. Because you can't keep outsourcing adulthood to a rotating carousel of therapists, apps, and excuses. You're not a kid. You're not a victim of life. You're the protagonist. That doesn't mean you never struggle. It means you struggle well. You face the storm, you pay the bill, you show up, tired, unsure, afraid, and you do it anyway. The world's not soft, and neither are you. So rise up tall and push on through. You're not a child in some cartoon plot. You're an adult, like it or not. If this rant made you uncomfortable, good. Discomfort is the beginning of change. And if you're sitting there thinking, this is too harsh, it's not that simple, you're right, it's not. But you're smart enough to hear hard truths and not break like a gluten-free cookie. So act like it. Because the world doesn't need more babies in adult costumes, it needs you. The real you, not your inner child, not your curated content, not your coping mechanism, just you. So drop the pacifier, pick up the weight, and grow the hell up.